So I made a video, right, called Shadowlands Delayed, ? And 2 hours after that video, Shadowlands actually got delayed. So this is kind of a follow-up video to that, where I speculate on a new potential release date, and give some advice as to what Blizzard needs to focus on when it comes to the continued development process for Shadowlands before it goes live, as there are some things they need to work on. But first, let's talk about the release date. So, Shadowlands got delayed, so when does it come out? Well, they kinda promised us a 2020 release, right? With that in mind, I really can't see them releasing an expansion at Christmas time, but I also think they need at minimum a month of development time, so my initial guess would be the last week of November, or the first week of December. If that doesn't end up happening, then I think they will scrap the 2020 release entirely, and we'll see a January release. Going back to my first guess though, that means it would either come out on the 25th of November or the 2nd of December. A third possibility would be the 9th of December. Those are my primary release date candidates in my opinion. So what does Blizzard need to do now? Well, first off, they need to listen to the community. People obviously still don't like Covenants, the Covenant abilities, the impact of them, and how your current Covenant choice will matter up to 15% when it comes to DPS, and that is just with the gear scaling we have available to us on the beta. Since most of the abilities and DPS increases are tied to Covenants they scale with gear, the percentage could become even bigger as well once we get Heroic and Mythic raid geared. On top of that, people also don't like Conduits and how there's a cooldown attached to swapping them. But for game changes like that, I would really recommend Blizzard listen to what someone like Preach is saying on his YouTube and Twitch channel, as he has a lot of knowledge about this, and he talks about it frequently. He's also testing it all the time on Shadowlands Beta. They also need to consider the community when it comes to the Covenants, and maybe just pulling the ripcord entirely. Make it so we are able to swap Covenants at will, instead of making it such a meaningful choice. By making it a meaningful choice, they kind of have to tune it, and they have to balance everything. But if they make it so you can change it at any time, then they don't really have to balance it as much. It's also impossible to balance the Covenant around everything, because you have Reigns, you have Mythic Plus, and you have PvP. For me, my primary focus on the beta has been testing leveling in different specs. I've tried all Covenants on my Warlock and my Rogue, and I'm currently testing a Druid and Monk as well for gold making reasons. I am testing out the world quests and the campaign quests, just to see how complete the game feels, if you catch my drift. Basically, I'm testing for bugs, and I'm testing to see if it actually feels good to play the expansion from a casual's point of view, as well as testing my gold making interests as well. And here's my findings so far. Different Covenants feels completely different when it comes to their campaigns and their story. It basically feels like they have split the team into 4 teams, and they have focused on one Covenant each. And it pretty much feels like they have an A team, B team, C and D team, and the A team was working on the Covenant that looks the best. Some Covenants feel absolutely amazing and has a cohesive story, and you really just enjoy your time there. Other Covenants feel a little bit more messed up, and the lore feels a bit all over the place, and there's a lot of random traveling involved. So far, the Night Fae has been my favorite Covenant, and that one feels really good. It feels like the team has put a lot of effort into it, and the story is amazing. I also really like the Necrolord's Covenant, even though it's a bit too... what's the word? Dark? For me at least. There's no bright colors, the entire zone has a sad vibe. But it's a cool Covenant, and for most classes, the Covenant ability is pretty cool, especially for Warlocks in my opinion, but Warlocks have cool abilities in pretty much every Covenant. The Kyrian Covenant also feels pretty good, has a fairly cohesive story, and the campaign is pretty straightforward. The Venthyr on the other hand feels a bit clunky to me, and there's a lot of needless traveling involved in the questline, as well as the quests themselves don't really add a lot to the story of the Covenant. I've also been testing world quests, and well, world quests are a bit weird at the moment. Some world quests will take you 30 seconds, others will take you 10 minutes, or even more as well, and they both give you the same rewards. Kill quests seem to go really quickly, same with quests where you need to talk with some NPC, as the world quest in those scenarios usually involves either using a vehicle to kill enemies, or protect the NPC from enemies, so it's basically a kill quest to kill a certain amount of mobs. The issue is world quest with progress bars, basically fill the bar world quest. There was one fill the bar world quest in Maldraxxus that took me 10 minutes on my druid, and I was pulling mobs and killing them super fast, and pulling so many mobs at the same time that I was close to death almost every single pull. Basically, I put in the max effort, but it still took me 10 minutes. The kills themselves rewarded a 1% due to the progress bar. Some mobs with higher health would reward 1.5 or 2%, and there were virtually no objectives to click on to fill the bar either, so you just had to kill enemies. I wish I had recorded it, but I've been looking for it since, but I haven't found it. I'll keep you updated on my Discord server if it pops up again, but fill the bar world quests in general seem like they need some tuning as to how much progress you get per kill. It just feels very bad that fill the bar world quests and killing world quests can reward the same exact reward, and one takes you 10 minutes and the other one takes you 1 minute. As for gold making, it feels weird. It feels a little bit empty. This is obviously something that could change in the live version of the game depending on drops, but basically in BFA we had mounts you could acquire from certain mobs in certain zones, which really encouraged open world farming. We also had world drop epics, which also encouraged open world farming, especially at the start of the expansion. So far in Shadowlands it doesn't seem like we have any of that, which basically makes gold making feel the same as it did basically in classic WoW. You gather stuff through herbalism, mining, skinning, or fishing, or by killing mobs and getting things like cloth. Then you process that through processing and crafting professions, and then you sell it. Or you can buy and resell, or play the auction house, or flip things. There's very little spicy things so far in Shadowlands when it comes to gold making, and to me that just looks and feels very boring. I like having options, and I like having something fancy that I can farm. Farming for a mount with 0.001% drop chance, which I can sell on the auction house, is really fun, and it makes you feel really good once you obtain it, and it creates diversity when it comes to different ways you can farm gold, and having more options as to what you can farm is always a good thing. Another really good thing about BFA that I haven't really brought up but I really should talk about is the Great Sea Ray. You can actually fish and obtain a mount by fishing. I hope that they have something like that in Shadowlands, and we just haven't seen it yet on the beta. That being said, you can still farm cloth and mobs the same way in Shadowlands as you could in BFA, but there's no epics dropping, which will most likely make those farms give less gold, and they will feel boring to do. I'm not sure how many people actually care about gold making, and it should definitely not be a priority for Blizzard to focus on this over anything else, but my point is they should be able to fix everything they need to fix, and focus on gold making as well. I feel like at this point there is an audience for gold making in the game, and they should do what they can to make sure that gold making is actually fun to do in the game. Having fun within the game will keep players playing the game. That's not really rocket science. Leveling in the Shadowlands is a bit clunky, and there are certain benchmarks in place to make sure you don't go through the zones too fast. Basically, you need to be a certain level to access certain zones. Like right now, Bastion requires level 50, obviously, because that's the starting zone. Maldraxxus requires level 53, Ardenweald requires level 55, and Revendreth requires level 57. Some zones will give less experience than others, like for example, I struggled getting 2 full levels from Maldraxxus, so getting a bit past level 53 before going there would be beneficial. This means you will want to do everything you can in Bastion before leaving Bastion, and so on. In some ways this makes the game feel less complete, but in other ways it makes it feel more like an MMO and more vanilla-like, because in Classic WoW you really didn't have enough quests to level all the way to level 60 either. But still, it just feels bad, as you can finish your campaign quests early, and then realize you're not at the level you need to be to access the next zone, and then you need to go back and scout for quests, and you basically need to tie up loose ends. So yeah, Blizzard still has a lot of work to do. It's a good thing they delayed Shadowlands, and I hope this video was able to provide you with some information as to what Blizzard needs to work on, and the issues that I have found in the beta so far. If you have beta access, make sure you give Blizzard your feedback, as it is very important. And that really is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, make sure you give it a like. And click on one of the 2 videos on the screen right now to see another video that I have made. Thank you all so much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one.